I have one short poem I'm going to start with called Happy Effing New Year. The revolution is being televised as I crush a can of Beck's, imagining what this year will bring, with all its promise of crawling out of hell to vaccinated freedom. And now I'm watching men destroy the Capitol, gulping down swigs of beer to flush away the sins that were my father's fathers. The patriot in me vexed by what I'm witnessing on this, our sixth day in. The MAGA minions rioting, the masses in a frenzy because their president would not admit defeat, because a demagogue mistook democracy for a porn star spreading evil, submissively unclean. The same flags they were waving to broadcast their allegiance to American ideals, long poles of U.S. steel, smash teeth and windows out, bash ribs in, stomachs, spleens, are murdering police. No coming back from this. Those who have won the day take selfies of their treason, piss on the Senate floors, feet up on desks, content. Some taking trophies home, door signs and podiums, Proud Boys and 3%ers, QAnon theorists, vets. They are obeying orders and will, when this day is done, admit to no wrongdoing, seek presidential pardons. America the beautiful, America the compromised. Yours is a selfish land of sparkling immunity. So that was that. I'm sure everybody has put pen to paper on recent events and stuff. But speaking of recent events, so my book, The Rise of the COVFEFE, you can get this on Amazon. I'll put the link up. It is a satire. Basically, the COVFEFE are the government or the operatives behind the government that basically control everything. One of the main characters is Trump, of course, but he's not really in control. In the book, he goes by Biff. The narrator, Biff, if you've seen Back to the Future Part 2, where Biff runs the casino, so I kind of ran with that. But he's really a minor player in this. The book itself is really about these current times and a lot of the stuff that's been happening, and just basically my take on it. It's just it's just my take on stuff basically. I just feel that we've gotten far away from conversation. There's not much communication these days that doesn't end in big capital letters or an exclamation point online, and most of this is done online, and especially in these times we can't even get together to speak with each other. So anyway, so the narrator is somebody in the COVFEFE, and this is actually, I'm going to read a segment from the beginning of the book, actually the very beginning of the book. Sweet. Got to drink something before I do this. Now, who's the stable geniuses in power, whose empire is striking back with zero chill, like Vader was, until that fateful hour when Luke's huge man-crush made his dark side ill with fatherly affection, and the coil of tossing Sidious over the throne room railing seemed like a great idea that kept prevailing. When Darth did something none of you should do and took his mask off, 2 feet from his son, not 6 feet back where Fauci'd steady you to keep you snowflakes safe till COVID's gone, but 2 feet when he channeled Anakin and smiled before the Death Star blew to pieces, and seeing the light he found his Jedi Jesus. Whose team of goats like Belichick and Brady deflates all challengers with its brand of evil, has sent more chills down spines than winter lately, destroyed more lives than crack pipes and the devil. From pole to pole, whose ultra-serious hustle could rival Rodman's tattooed pedigree, and how it shapes the globe with currency. More stealth in the dark web with our cold movements, so unseen seen, invisible, familiar. Like suntan roofers doing home improvements under the stars, the shadows you can't filter, the gods who lurk in clouds. Slick as a riddler and giving so few clues to our hushed covenant, Masonic loyalist lords who run the government. The pyramid symbols on your strip club ones, the cops that gun you down predictably, the rap sheets on your newly murdered sons, flashing across a screen so wickedly, The news teams playing sides so viciously whenever rioters show up at your protest. Those Black Lives thugs, Antifa and their conquests. The oil spills swirling in your favorite ocean, whose shorelines swathed with gasoline and trash. Tycoons who put the global burn in motion, paid for Earth's plundering with cold hard cash. That deafening crack you hear with every lash of cyber rage we give the poor man's shoulders. Brothers in blood, young suits and corporate elders. The toy drones buzzing at your windowsills. The houseflies circling your dinner plates. Tracking your every move with camera pills and medicines that microchip your face. In iPads, cell phones, in your traffic lights. The New World Order is as old and shameless as Carter Phillips' sword, remaining nameless. We're at the breakfast table when you're eating, listening in on your destructive talk. What you would do if your fat ass was leading the country with your condescending sulk. Coughing out Cheerios and spitting milk with every crass opinion you're directing at the same puppets that you keep electing to be the face of our unyielding fury, the poster boys for death and devastation, who've promised to restore the former glory America knew, before it was a nation of whimpering fools who run from conversation, but stay up late to troll a tedious stranger with links to facts that point to coming danger. The facts that we drew up in drunken rages, rewriting histories we saw fit, to prove our point that nothing works as good as a civil war to keep the country split. Unusually successful at that shit, we have a knack for turning men against each other under flags that they've defensed. See Shaq and Kobe, Brutus, Julius Caesar, Biggie and Tupac, Ephialtes, Leonidas, Benedict Arnold, that delicious traitor who turned so fast his neck bones got arthritis. Deception's been our lifeblood, and has led us to these inglorious times of reckless terror, where men take risks to prove their side is better. The right has left all reason for dissension. The left's all right, but still they right no wrongs. And so we have a shit show of pretension that no one's left, so rightly none belongs. How grand for us, who've all been penning songs to do away with that most rancid anthem Scott Key wrote when the rockets nearly slammed him. Which begs the question, what do we all do with so much time on our elitist hands? Well, when COVFEFE isn't watching you, we're dropping mother bombs in peace-starved lands. We're breaking bread with some of our best friends. Last week, we had a night out with the Russians. Great cover band. King John was on percussions. That night was fucking nuts. After the band played a sweet version of Back in the USSR, Putin got up, though he could barely stand, and started singing songs about a czar who'd ruled for 30 years. But every slur that made its way into the almost sensible, hit way too close to home, was reprehensible. Pictures of Smirnoff went around the bar as fast as you could say Baryshnikov, but it was clear, though some would say the roar that came when Putin finished was all love, that the vibe that night was just a little off and forced to some degree. So we've made plans to do it all again at Kim Jong-un's. For this year's 4th, we'll stage a reenactment of Washington's famed trek across the pond, to recognize his glorious entrapment of Redcoat airports, low on fuel, outgunned. Back then, there was no place for him to land his fleet of jets, so when he saw the British, he rammed their ramparts like a horse finish. George ransacked London, stormed through Normandy, and battle-rapped a Macklemore from Spain. With just one leg, hopped down to Italy and fed his troops cold sketties from a can, which gave them life before they hit Japan with everything they had at Hiroshima, then Ubered home through Europe back to FEMA. Then at the Battle of COVFEFE Hill, airsick and ailing with their Space Force grounded, George and his men encountered friction still from alien troops until the trumpet sounded and Brian Williams charged in with the wounded who perished at 51 in Kitty Hawk. So many casualties, those prawns would gawk in disbelief as ghostly soldiers met them with heavenly hellfire at the dawn's first light. It took a single horn to resurrect them from years of sleep, 2 wars to make things right. As a cavalry from World News Tonight, made up of ragtag writer journeymen and camera crews that never fired a weapon, charged up the hill with 60 ghosts at most, and rolled the garrison of Martians there. Their fort was sacked in minutes, but the cost was 12 Sat Adams kegs and 1 light beer, which no one missed. It wasn't even fair. Those pink-clawed lizards and some traitorous Brits who brewed bad ale were rightly blown to bits and slaughtered like the migrant dogs they were, as it was written in the prophecy. A false-toothed general taking to the air in 1775 to secure victory will make America great as it can be and send the green ones home, which to this day is why we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Thank you. Anyway, I'll put that link up. And one more visual. There it is, right there. The rise of the COVFEFE. It's backwards on the screen, on my screen. That's all I got for tonight.